We will be discussing what federal programs are available for small business owners and self-employed individuals.
Educate your money now.
Hello, and welcome to Educating Your Money podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Curry-Case, owner of Nick Bookkeeping Services. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. This podcast is geared towards small business owners and self-employed individuals who have questions or topics they'd like to discuss and get answers. Make sure you post where you're listening or watching from and what type of business you own or would like to own. Also, be sure to share this with other business owners who may find value in this podcast. Please tune in every Monday for a new episode. Today's episode is called Relief for Businesses in the Midst of a Pandemic. What are my options? We will be discussing what federal programs are available for small business owners and self-employed individuals and how they may be able to get help in this time of crisis. Unfortunately, I must caveat this episode with the federal programs that we will be discussing today have run out of money as of last week. But possibly by the time this episode airs, Congress could have already agreed upon additional funding. I wanted to continue to get the answers that many of you have asked for in case businesses that did not get a chance the first time around get the answers necessary for them to apply. Post any comments and questions you may have below, and we will make sure to try and answer every question. We would also like to thank Out and About Business Solutions for sponsoring our podcast. Today's guest is Monica Coburn, founder and CEO of Nevada Business Advisors and co-founder of POWHer. Monica has over 20 years of experience in the banking and finance industry, primarily working with businesses. She has received numerous awards throughout her career, including awards from the U.S. Small Business Administration, a recipient of the Women of Distinction Award by the National Association of Women Business Owners, Southern Nevada, and the Urban Chamber of Commerce for Women in Politics and Community Service. She has also served as mentors, volunteers, and serves on several boards. She is the co-founder of POWHer, a Las Vegas-based women entrepreneur group. Hello, Monica, and thank you for being on the show today.
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Monica, I just wanted to say I have attended multiple events and workshops your organizations have put on, and it is such an honor to have you as a guest today.
I appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Yeah. In these hard times, Monica, where everyone is being hit hard, challenged financially, both personally and business-wise, what are they going to do as the country tries to fight this virus and eventually get our economy back up and running? Many have begun to think, what am I going to do to stay afloat, and what are my options? So Monica, as you already know, there are many questions around this subject, and I'm sure you've been fielding them on a daily basis. The hope is that by the time this episode airs, Congress will have already agreed upon funding another small business package so that more businesses have a chance to have some relief, which is why I've continued with this episode today. So Monica, we have some questions from our viewers that I would like to ask. Can you explain which disaster relief programs that were available for, and hopefully still will be available for, small business owners and self-employed individuals?
Yes, Kristen. So there are two main programs. One is the EIDL program, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and the other is the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, as you stated, funding unfortunately has run out for both of these programs, but the hope is Congress will reconvene and fund additional money into these programs. But I still want to give a quick overview. So the EIDL program is a program that a business owner, self-employed, can apply directly through the SBA. That website is sba.gov. And all you need to do is look for the COVID-19 bar, click on it, and we'll give you all the information as well as the application link. And so that program is available to any eligible small business, any eligible nonprofit, and they can apply directly through the SBA for that program. With the Paycheck Protection Program, that is a program that is a federally guaranteed loan, but it needs to be applied to directly through the business's bank or lender. There are a few banks or lenders that are taking the applications if they are not a customer, but as I've been advising my clients, you want to check with your existing bank first. And so the purpose of this program is really to help businesses bring back employees onto their payroll or retain any employees that they have.
And so these programs are designed for small businesses.
Correct. Designed for small businesses. They're also designed for independent contractors, sole proprietors, gig workers. So all of those can apply and are eligible for the program.
And a question that has come up, so with the PPP, if they're granted this loan, what if that business isn't able to function because of everything that's going on today? Do they have to be functioning in order to be even eligible for the PPP?
So that's a great question, because we know that there's been a distinction between essential businesses and non-essential. And so it's those non-essential businesses that really have been ordered to close down in many states, including Nevada. And so they don't necessarily need to have their doors open and operating. How the program works is, if you've applied and once you get approval and funding, that business has up to 8 weeks, up until June 30th, to start bringing back their employees. Now the hope is, and we don't know, right, that we will eventually start phasing in a reopening phase. And what does that look like? Under the program, they're giving you 8 weeks in order to do that. And why that's important is the majority of the program and the use of the funds are primarily for payroll reasons. And so if you use up to 75% as payroll costs, so payroll, helping with health insurance premiums, retirement plans, that loan is potentially forgivable, which is huge for small business. But you also have a component of non-payroll costs. So things like rent, utilities, interest on your debt, that you can actually include as part of the program. And as long as you keep that under 25% of whatever that total funding is, then it becomes forgivable as well. It's only when it goes over that amount.
How does a small business know which program is right, or the right program for their particular situation between the two?
Great question. So, I've been advising clients, make sure you check with your CPA or your tax professional first. Secondly, it's possible to apply for both programs, and it's possible to get approved and accept both programs. So that's really important to know. There's differences between the two. So for example, on the EIDL program, if you're a gig worker, that would not be the program that you can apply for, but Paycheck Protection Program would be, for example. So, again, SB.gov, it has all the details of both programs, but especially for small businesses, more than likely you can apply for both if you're eligible.
Great. And is there certain criteria that the banks are using to determine eligibility, for a small business owner?
Yes, so because this is still an SBA program, there's still certain criteria. So the question is, will they pull credit? Yes, they will. Will credit be a reason that you will not get the funding? No. There's a number of other things that go into play. So take the PPP, for example. Under a regular SBA scenario, it would require a personal guarantee, it would require collateral. Under PPP, it does not. So there's no personal guarantee requirement. There's no collateral requirement. There's no guarantee fees. So there's definitely some differences. For the EIDL program, it operates a little bit differently. So it will require a personal guarantee. And there is a collateral requirement. So if your funding is above $25,000, SBA will look at taking all available collateral. So what does that mean? Business assets. If you've got equity in real estate, the SBA is required to take that as additional collateral. Now, you might be saying, I don't have any collateral. If that is the only reason, then it's not a reason to not do the funding.
Okay, that's good information, something I didn't realize. What information should a business owner start to gather if they're thinking about applying for either of these programs?
So specifically for the PPP, because it's primarily for payroll, the information that the banks are going to ask for is if you have employees or you pay yourself on a W-2, they're going to ask for your 941 tax filings from 2019. They may ask for any type of payroll report. So if you use an outside payroll company, for example, copies of those payroll reports. If you're looking to include costs like your health insurance premiums and your retirement benefits, having that information together is going to be key. Same thing for non-payroll costs. Knowing what your rent expense is, what your utilities were, and if you run QuickBooks, that's very easily identified on your QuickBooks report. On the EIDL program, they are going to ask for your tax returns. They will ask for your financial statements. They may ask for a business debt schedule. And so that's been pretty standard of what SBA will ask for. And the key is once and if they open the funding again, and they open that portal for you to apply, that you complete the application in full, don't miss anything, and you have your information gathered all up front. It's just going to be an easier process for you to complete.
Very good information. And I'm sure a company or a small business owner knowing their numbers and knowing their information will come in handy when they're trying to apply, knowing where to go for those numbers, knowing where to find that information when they're trying to apply for these programs.
Absolutely. That's been a huge part of the delay with these applications is businesses that are applying, but they're not completing everything or they're not providing all the information. And so what happens is it causes a delay and they're not able to really go through everything because information is missing. And what will happen is it's just reality. They will move on to the next application if it's complete, because then they can turn it around quicker. So very important that you have all your information as completed.
Yeah. So what if you mentioned that a small business should go to maybe start with their business bank. Mm-hmm. And if for whatever reason they aren't eligible, should they shop around or try and find maybe another bank that might accept their application?
Yeah, so great question, because we know that not all banks are, number one, taking applications. So many of them have stopped, especially now funding is no longer accessible. There are still a few banks and lenders that have, and then you have banks and lenders just never started taking applications for the program. So I am happy to direct them. I have contacts with banks and lenders. They can just reach out to NevadaBusinessAdvisors.com is the website and complete a form, or send an email, which is info@NevadaBusinessAdvisors.com. Just say you've never applied or you need another bank to apply to, and I'm happy to direct them.
It's good that they get this information, but because it's changing so quickly and frequently, it's hard for everyone to keep up.
It's so true. I can attest to that. I've been on daily calls regarding the program, and it's so fluid. As of a couple weeks ago, if you applied for both EIDL and PPP, you had to choose one or the other if they came back and offered the funding. Well, that lasted a few days, and then they changed it back to where you could get both. And so you're right, it's just changing so rapidly. And if I can give one piece of advice, is just, do your homework, do your due diligence. There's a lot of misinformation that's out there. And so just be aware, because there's also scammers that are out there that are trying to do some things that are really taking advantage of our small business community.
Yeah, and that's too bad, because everyone is struggling at this point.
Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier, I would suggest for those who wanted to apply for these programs but didn't get a chance to, that you use this opportunity, as Monica mentioned, to gather that information and be ready for when when Congress decides, on additional funding, and that will put you ahead of the game, because you will have all the information necessary. And I would imagine you would agree as well, Monica.
Absolutely, yes.
I would like to thank Monica for taking time out of her busy schedule, coming on the show and sharing her expertise. Be sure to post any questions or comments below. Let us know if there's any topic you would like to have discussed on the show. Comment below or email educatingyourmoney@gmail.com. Monica, if any of our viewers or listeners are interested in or learning more about you and your organizations, how can they reach out to you?
So it's NevadaBusinessAdvisors.com. The email is info@NevadaBusinessAdvisors.com. If you are a women entrepreneur, it's Power of We, POWHER of we.com, or by email, info@powerofwe.com.
Thanks for watching Educating Your Money podcast, where it's not just about making money, but about educating money. See you next Monday for the next episode, where we will be continuing the discussion around relief options for small business owners and self-employed individuals. Thank you, and be safe, everyone.
Thank you.